Welcome back to day 3 of building a multi-million-dollar spec home for sale from ground up. My name is David Windsor with the Windsor Group, and this is my first project, and I'm excited to walk you through the process as we do it. So as I mentioned in video 1, we're building this house for sale. I'm the general contractor. This is my first job I've ever managed, and I come from the world of commercial construction. It's pretty exciting, but where I stand here is we're on day 3 of a 3,300 square foot home out in Sky Ridge, Park City, Utah, the town I grew up in, and I'm really excited to get things going. So we're moving forward on the job, coming up on job site 72. There she is, isn't she a beaut? Look at all that beautiness. So much glamour going on right now. Jim Rohn, for those of you that don't know, I'm a bit obsessed and in love with self-development, always improving myself, transformation, and working on things to better myself every single day. So throughout these videos, you're gonna hear a lot of things that I'm talking about with self-development, motivational quotes, things that I've read, and just things that I enjoy learning about, and I'm gonna translate into these videos. So one of my favorites is Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn, who's famously one of the mentors of Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn says you are a combination of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Think about that for a second. Who do you hang out with the most? Those people are the ones that you are a combination of the most. Your wealth, your attitude, your music, everything you listen to, everything you do, your social beliefs, the people you hang out with the most, that's going to be the people that you tend to react the same towards. So just a little word of wisdom for you. Building spec houses can be risky business, but it can also be extremely profitable. Well, I just quit my job to start a construction company. We're going to be building our first spec home on this lot with this view, with an over $2 million listing price in the incredible town of Park City, Utah. So as a first-time home builder, how are we going to do it with little money and still be profitable? Follow me on this series to find out. My name is David Windsor, and this is building a multi-million-dollar spec home from start to finish. So we're coming up on the site. One of my favorite things about construction is things are constantly changing, constantly evolving. You know, so as we started this project, this fire hydrant bollard right here, which is here to protect the fire hydrant, has to be within 5 feet of it. This bollard actually sits within 2 feet of our driveway. So our driveway is right about here, and it goes up. So we got this bollard right in the way. So one of the things we have to do is we got to dig down. We have to get approval from the HOA, and we got to dig down, and there's a precast piece of concrete in there. We got to rip that thing out, and we got to move it over right about where those blocks are, and we got to get the fire department enough room to work through with their fire hydrant, but so they can hook their hoses up, but we got to move it. It's in the middle of our driveway. So those are some of the things that just happen on a daily basis, which is why I love construction. It's constantly changing. So as we approach, we're coming up the driveway right here, and as we enter into the driveway, we're right in the middle of the garage now, and in the middle of the garage, here we are, and this is going to be the back of the garage, and then there's a storage area back here, and the mechanical room with utility closets and stuff back there, and then this is going to be the main family room downstairs with the kids. You know, there's a bunk room here and a guest room here, and this is the downstairs, and this is going to be slab on grade, all concrete right onto the dirt. And another issue that we had, just as construction goes, we had this pad ready to go. We were done, basically, and we came in and we did one more last measurement on our elevations, and we actually measured wrong, and we were 8 inches high. And so we had to come through this entire site and measure out the whole thing again and scrape it all down 8 inches. And as you can see, it's pretty tough terrain as we get deeper and deeper. So one of the things we just had to do was suck it up and get down to the subgrade. Another little issue is that down here, you know, there's some darker dirt. So we might need to take some of this fill and fill that in so it's a little more stable and able to bear the footings for the concrete guys. Another thing is, this is our sewer line right here, this green pipe right here. This sewer on the street goes down 12 feet, which is ridiculous. From this pipe right here, it goes down 15 feet. So we're trying to figure out the best way to do that without having to dig down 15 feet to hook up to the sewer. But one of the things we're going to do, and this is a suggestion I have for you, you know, forecast things. Like right now where I'm standing right in the middle of a footing, what will be a footing, and there's a toilet that sits here. And one of the things, as I was going through these drawings with my dad, he discovered there's a toilet that sits right here, and that's a problem for the plumber, because they're going to have to come up through the footing and they're going to have to core down into it. So a couple things like this, as you can see, the subgrade it's pretty rugged terrain. I mean, there's a lot of rock and stuff, and so for these guys to hand trench with a shovel to get their pipe in, to get their underground work ready to go, that's gonna be a bitch. And so if you want to be a good contractor and a helpful contractor, and one that your subs are going to want to keep working for, find ways to help make their lives easier. Keep them on the job less, you know, like figure out how you can get them in and out really quick. It'll save you money potentially. But so here I am with the excavator. We got the tools. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a layout for ourselves. I sat down with the plumber, I had a phone call with him. I laid out the drawings for him, and I said, hey, I'm thinking of drawing because you're in this footing, we're going to put you right by the footing with a 90-degree, and we're going to run you back to the mechanical room. Are you okay with that? If so, what kind of sleeve do you need in there? He tells me he needs a 4-inch sleeve to go in there. So we're going to take the excavator and we're going to run a 4-inch trench, or a trench, fill it in with gravel, and put a 4-inch sleeve for those plumbers in there. You know, the plumber said to me, he's been doing this for 20 years, and only one other time has a contractor offered to do that for him. It's the little things. I mean, the fact that in 20 years, only one other person has offered to dig his own trench and do his own layout for him, to me, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's simple. We have the tools on site. We got the excavator. Like, why have a crew on here with hand shovels digging for 2 days and charging you for that labor when the excavator can do it in 10 minutes? And the excavator will charge me for the pipe and stuff, but for him to do it, it's 20 minutes versus the other guys to hand dig it, it'll take 2 days. So that's one of the things. The other thing is we got to block out the footing. We gotta leave a foot gap in the footing, and we're gonna leave it open so they can come up and stub up that toilet in there through the rebar. And then what we'll do is we'll fill in the rest of that footing when we fill in the slab. Those are little things that if you can manage to do it, it's gonna save you a lot of time, and it's gonna make your subcontractors respect you more. That's what I care about the most, is respect from my subcontractors. I want my contractors to, I want them to respect me, to trust me, and to know that I got their back. And when they know I have their back, they're gonna get my back. And at the end of the day, they're gonna stay on your job longer. If there's a conflict at another job and they're on your job, they're gonna stay with you. They're gonna come to you. If you have an emergency, they're gonna come help you out because you helped them out. Those are the little things that add up, that are hard to understand as far as measuring it, but those types of things make the biggest difference in the world. And if you can recognize that early on, you're going to save yourself a lot of time, a lot of money, and you're going to build strong relationships. And that's what this business is all about, is relationships. So that's one of the things. Myself, coming from the commercial world, I've spent an insane amount of time, hundreds of hours, watching safety videos in OSHA training, all these things. In commercial, it's really, really, really important for safety. I mean, there's a lot of rules, there's a lot of regulations. A lot of these companies, these federal jobs, build jobs for Chevron or the government, you can't even bid certain jobs if you have a safety rating below a certain point. So safety's big. Everyone has to wear hard hats, vests, proper, footwear, eyewear, all that stuff. And so for me, it's gonna be really hard because the residential world, no one gives a shit about safety. And so it's hard to get these guys backed in on safety, because at the same time, like, it costs money to get that type of equipment, and the laborers aren't going to pay for it. So is the owner going to pay for it? A lot of these owners don't know how to run their businesses and their books. So to get them to buy safety equipment is a tough thing. So for example, this right here, we're at like a 12-foot cut. That's a big cut. In the commercial world, you can't go more than 2 to 1. What that means is every 2 foot down, you got to go 1 foot out. So you peel back the soil, so it's a gradual grade, so it can never collapse. I mean, if this thing collapsed, holy shit, that's trouble. So the way it works, if we're doing big cuts in the commercial world and we don't have enough dirt or space to peel back the dirt, we're going to shore it. So every 5 feet, every 5 foot lift, we're going to dig down 5 feet, and then we're going to shore it up with wood lagging or steel beams or shotcrete, whatever it is. We're not doing that here, one, because it's unnecessary, and two, it's super expensive, and that's just an added cost to the project. And unfortunately, we're here to make money, So on this particular hole, as you can see, it's pretty intense rock. So that rock is going to act as a pretty good, you know, weight bearing point. And so that is our shoring. So on this particular project, we're safer. If this was just solid topsoil and dirt, you know, and we don't have enough room to peel that back and make a gradual, I simply wouldn't be standing this close. I'd be back here. So those are some of the things I'm gonna have to learn about. And if you have any advice for me how to work through that, how you work on your jobs with safety, let me know. I mean, drop it in the comments, because safety is a big thing for me, but I understand that a lot of these guys don't have the money or the means, or nor do they care about safety. So that's a big thing. And so yeah, so here we are on day 3, you know, prepping the site, getting ready. This is our footprint for the house. And so we're getting the site ready for concrete. And everybody knows concrete's the foundation. I mean, it is the foundation. It is the building block of the house. And so here we are in this building block, getting ready, prepping the site, prepping the dirt, getting the dirt completely ready for concrete foundation. The number one thing. Soils work is one of the least exciting things for most people, especially homeowners, but it is the most critical and important thing. I mean, if you get your site wrong, like for example, we were 8 inches high. Holy cow. Can you imagine if everything was 8 inches high and the inspector got here as we're pouring concrete? We'd have to rip out all that concrete. That's an insane amount of money. So it's really important to get everything right with the site. Prepping the site is the most important part. You got to get it, and you got to haul out on all the unnecessary dirt. Like you can't store the dirt on site. You got nowhere to put it. You got a limit of disturbance that you can't touch 10 feet past your property line. So it's hauling the dirt out. All the unnecessary dirt is really, really important. And prepping the site is number one. And a lot of people overlook the importance of that. But, you know, hauling out all the necessary dirt and taking this dirt and putting it in a location that, you know, is going to be buried and never probably seen again. So the site work is super important. Division 2 is really, really important. Excavation it's one of the number ones, and a lot of people miss it. And the thing about it is you're hauling out all the unnecessary dirt, all the unwanted dirt to get ready for the site. So as you get the site ready for construction and concrete, you know, concrete's number one. I mean, it's the foundation. It's the building block. It's what everything sits on. So think about that. You're putting the site in a position to be 100% to bear the points of the foundation of your house and your building. So think about that for a second. What in your life needs to be hauled out? You know, are you making changes in your life? And if you are, how are you prepping for those changes? How are you prepping yourself and your site for those changes? Jim Rohn said, you're a combination of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Well, sometimes you got to haul out some bad dirt, you know, on a job site. Sometimes there's toxic dirt on a job site. Sometimes there's toxic soil that needs to be taken to a special dump because it's so toxic. That's okay, you know, and sometimes it's really hard to do that. Sometimes people don't want to admit that there's bad dirt on the site because it costs money. It takes time, you know, they're attached to it. And so what's the bad dirt in your life? What kind of dirt do you need to haul out, you know, in this big ass hole I'm standing on top of? Sometimes the people closest to us are the people that are holding us back the most. And it's really hard to admit that, and it's really hard to let go of those people because they're your top 5. They're the closest to you. Sometimes they're family. You know, family is always a little bit harder to get rid of. And I don't mean get rid of, but to separate yourself from. You know, if you're spending a lot of time with people that are dragging you down, that don't believe in your dreams, if you want to go out and quit your job and build a multi-million-dollar spec home with no experience running a construction company, and you got people behind you saying, it'll never work, what are you doing, you're an idiot, stay at your job, like your job's comfortable, dude, it's safe, like you got a 401k and you got insurance, what are you doing, like your family, like you're almost 40 years old, are you crazy? Well, those are the people you don't want supporting you, unfortunately, because those are the people that are going to bring you down, and then you're going to eventually say, yeah, you're right. Am I taking a risk? Oh man, like what am I doing? And yeah, it is a risk. I'm taking a huge risk with this, but it's risk reward, and you're never going to get to where you want to go if you don't take a little bit of risk. And so here we are right now, standing on top of this multi-million-dollar risk, and I had to quit my job. And if I didn't have the support from my family and my friends, the people I spend most time with, I wouldn't have done it. I would have taken the safe play. And a lot of the people I work with at that general contracting company, they've taken the safe play for 40 years, and it shows. They're not happy, and that's okay. You know, like, if that's the path that you're on and you want to take that, I don't necessarily judge you, but it's not for me. For me I define success by doing what I want to do, being happy doing it. And it's not, you know, the money is one thing, but it's waking up every day and just being a good person. And that's to your family, to your friends, to your spouse, all the above. And so I want to wake up, I want to treat people well, and I want to do the things that I want to do. And a lot of that comes down to the support from your top 5. So as you're prepping yourself to take the next step in your life and learn more about yourself and take a new job or a career or a big leap, and speaking of big leap, there was no pun intended there, but it worked out great. Who are your top 5? Do you have to haul out some unwanted dirt in your life to get to the next step? And I'll tell you what, if you got shitty dirt on your site and you start pouring your foundation, you know, that foundation is going to eventually settle. If you got native soils or, you know, uncompacted dirt on your job site, that house is eventually going to settle over time. It may take a lot of time, but in 10, 15, 20 years, all of a sudden your foundation cracks, the house settles. The front door is now a couple inches lower than the rest of the house. Those types of things happen when you don't take the necessary work to prep the site. So think about your site, and your site being you. Do you need to haul off any unwanted dirt? What would it take to do that? Sometimes it takes a lot more work to haul off unwanted dirt. I mean, sometimes the dirt is so deep rooted, like this is some real serious dirt. You know, this is no joke. To get this out, we had to take this thing they call the ripper tooth. And this ripper tooth, it's one single tooth. And so what that is when the hoe is coming down on it, rather than the big old bucket, it's taking all that energy into one single spot, one single tooth. And that's what we're using to rip out that dirt through here. And so, you know, sometimes it takes more work. Sometimes there's some stuff that's really deep rooted in you. Your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your best friends, and they're just dragging you down. Your spouse, you know, and it's going to take more time and more work, but, you know, and I'm not saying you got to get rid of people fully, but you got to clean your site. You got to prep the site. You got to get it ready for construction. So that's my little rant on today with Division 2. And what I'll do is I'll kind of show you some of the things that we're going to be doing throughout the Division 2. I mean, for instance, we had a footing right here. We had an unnecessary crawl space that was drawn in, and I'm not really sure why they drew it in. But so we asked the architect to delete that crawl space, so then we could, so it was a crawl space that looked like this going across on the plans and the footings, and we deleted this one where my thumb is. So now it's just one big crawl space, or one big wall back there. So we extended our mechanical room by a good, you know, 3 feet, which 3 feet deep by, you know, however many feet wide, 20 feet wide. That's a big mechanical room, and that now becomes storage for the owner. So there's these little things as we go through, and I'll start sharing my screen and showing you things on the plans that we've changed and we've done in order to accommodate for this. But thanks for listening to my little rant on site work, being a good person, combination of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Again, this is David Windsor. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this material as things go on. I'm guessing we're on Division 2. By Division 4 or 5, I will have all the templates uploaded that you need, and you can download those templates. I'll put a link in the bottom of this video, and you can download those templates for free. Templates for scheduling, owner conversations, presentations for your owner, bidding jobs. All this stuff is going to be templates that I build and I give to you for free of charge. All I ask in exchange is that you yourself subscribe, like, and share this podcast. And so this is a YouTube channel. Jeez, that shows how new I am. But I appreciate you listening. And really quick, I don't know if you can see, but you know, these guys over here are building, and see how they're on that leading edge with no safety protection. Over here, this guy's up on a freaking forklift and balancing on a beam with no protection. From the world I come in the commercial world, that would not fly. You can't go more than 6 feet high without being tied off in the commercial world, and your job would be shut down immediately. So these are the things that happen every day in the residential world that I'm gonna have a tough time figuring out a balance between, you know, telling these guys that they gotta wear safety harnesses, but yet they don't have access to safety harnesses. So how are we gonna do that as a team and build confidence and safety together? I don't know. And if you have any suggestions for me, please leave them in the comments, because that's gonna be my one biggest thing. I mean, I've seen so many hours of videos of literally death that I know what can happen, and it scares me, and no one in the residential world really gives a shit. So I welcome your advice. I appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time. This is David Windsor, building a multi-million-dollar spec home from start to finish for my first time. Check you out. Have a good day.